Hi everyone, I am Bhumika Rathi. Welcome to my channel. On this channel, we are doing practices for competitive exams in which I am going to cover your English grammar at the very first. And here we are continuing a topic that is articles. So, in today's topic, we are going to continue the use of articles with different kinds of noun in which we were doing proper noun. So, let's see the rule number 7 which says, rule number 7 is saying use the with the following proper nouns. So which following proper nouns? These one. First is the name of the rivers. For example, the Yamuna, the Ganga, the Godavari, the Satluj. So along with them, we will use the. Then we have names of sea. For example, the Arabian Sea, the Caribbean Sea. Alright, so we will use the with them. Then we have the name of oceans. So along with them, we will also use the article. The Indian Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. Alright, you can see the use of the. And with a group of islands, we will also use the. So the Lakshadweep, the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Then with names of heavenly bodies, we will also use the article. So the Sun, the Venus, etc. Alright. But here we have some exceptions. What are they? Let's see. But no article is used before heaven, hell, God, Parliament. For examples, the world is in the danger due to the greenhouse effect. Alright. Then we have go to hell, God resides in heaven, the bill was passed in Parliament, not in the Parliament. Alright, we will not use the Parliament. Alright, then we have some space. Here we have a space rule which says when space means outer space, no article will be used along with that. But when space, the word space means place or area, then we will use the. This is very important. For example, many astronauts dream of going to space, not going to the space. Alright, here this space means outer space that we have in which solar system exists. Alright, that space. Then we have the space which means place or area. In this, we will use article the. He tried to park his car, but the space was not sufficient. So here space means the area is not sufficient to park the car. Alright, here we have some unique things and environment. Let's see. Use article the before the things that are unique. For example, the world, the universe. Alright, in that example, by mistake, this example is over here. The world is in danger. Alright, then we have use the before environment and atmosphere. Alright, for example, the atmosphere consists of 3 layers. Alright, so along with atmosphere, we will use the article. Then we have we must protect the environment. So along with the word environment, we will use article the. Now moving on. Here we have rule number 8 which says name of directions. So along with that, we will use article the. For example, the east, the west, the north, the south. Alright. Then we have some examples over here. The sun rises in the east. So here you can see the word sun, which is a heavenly body. Along with that, we will use the article. And here we have direction east. Along with that, we will use the article. Alright. Then we have second example. He is going to North America. So here North America is there. If direction is alone in the sentence, then we will use article the. But here North America is representing country's name. Alright. Then we have Rajasthan is in the western India. So here in western part of India we have Rajasthan. Sweden is in the northern Europe. Similarly here we will not use article the. Alright, but if a place name is added, then the article is not used. For example, West Bengal. Alright, as I told you in these 3, that along with the name of a place, the will not be added. Alright, like in these examples, you can see. Now moving on. Along with the name of gulfs, rule number 9, which says along with the name of gulfs, we will use article the. For example, the Bay of Bengal. The Bay of Bengal. Then we have rule number 10 which says along with deserts, we will use the article. For example, the Sahara Desert. Alright, then we have rule number 11 which says name of canals. So along with that, we will use article the. For example, the canal. Alright, the. Now moving on, rule number 12 says name of the newspapers. Alright, along with that, we will use the Hindu, the Times of India. So we have to use the article with them. Then we have along with the holy books we will use. For example, the Gita, the Bible. Alright. Then in some cases, like Valmiki's Ramayana and Banbhart's Kadambari, the is not used because the author's name is included. Alright. Whenever author name is there, we will not use article the along with them. Alright. If there is author and book together, so the article will not be used. If alone book's name is there, then we will use. For example, The Gita we have here, the Ramayana. Alright. Then we have rule number 14, which says names of historical buildings. So, the Taj Mahal, the Red Fort. Alright, these are historical buildings. Along with them, we will use article the. Then we have an exception note over here. Let's see. Many important buildings and monuments have names made of multiple words where one word is the name of the person or place. In such cases, the will not be used. For example, Delhi Airport. So along with that, we will not use article the. Then we have Victoria Palace. So Victoria is there, the name you can see over here. Along with that, we have monument. Then we have London Zoo, Jai Singh Palace, Indira Gandhi Airport. So along with these words, we will not use article the. Then we have rule number 15, which says names of movements. Movements like the Quit India movement. So here we will use article the. Alright. Then we have names of organizations. So along with that, we will use article the. The United Nations. This one I told you in the last video. Alright. Now moving on. Here we have rule number 17, which says name of railways or airways. So along with that, we will use article the. For example, the Jet Airways. So here the. Then we have the Intercity. Then we have the Rajdhani Express. So along with them, we will use article the. Then we have rule number 18, which says names of political parties. Along with them, we will use article the. For example, the BJP, the Congress, the Communist Party. So here you can see the use of the. Then we have rule number 19, which says names of acts and constitutional bodies. Along with them, we will use article the. This is very, very important. Many of you forget this rule. Let's see. The Indian Penal Code. So here, the. Then we have the legislature. So here, it's a constitutional body. For example, we have more like the judiciary. Alright, so along with them, we will use article the. Then we have names of musical instruments. For example, the flute, the violin. Alright. Then we have names of religious communities. For example, the Hindus, the Muslims, the Sikhs. Alright, so along with them, we will use article the. Then we have before a person's post or title, we will use article the. For example, the chairman, the director. So here, the will be used. Alright. If referring to one, then a or n can also be used. For example, a director or an author. Alright. Here we have rule number 23, which says before inventions, we will use article the. For example, the telescope. Alright. The printing press. Then we have rule number 24, which says before names of communities, clubs and trust, we will use article the. For example, the Lions Club. So here the has been. Then we have the Rotary Club. The is there. Alright. Rule number 25 says name of dynasties. So along with them, we will use article the. For example, the Marathas, the Peshwas. Alright. Rule number 26 says use article the before parts of the body when it replaces a possessive adjective. For example, in possessive adjective, we have my, his, her, etc. Alright. For example, he was wounded in his eye. Or we can say he was wounded in the eye. Alright. It is understandable that we are replacing his over here with article the. Alright. Then we have rule number 27, which says with dates. Alright. The 10th May, the 31st May. Alright. Then we have rule number 28, which says with armed force we will use the army, the police. Alright. Rule number 29 says with planets we will use the Venus, the Mars, the Earth. Alright. Then we have with hotel names we will use the Taj Hotel. Alright. Then we have rule number 31, which says along with trophies and cups we will use article the World Cup. Alright. Then we have with names of wars, revolutions and ages we will use article the. The French Revolution we can see. Then we have the Middle Age. Alright. Now here is some important one, which says don't use article with these following proper nouns. First is the name of months. Along with the names of months, we will never use article the. Alright. For example, we will not say the June. Directly we will say June, July, September, etc. Alright. Along with the name of days, we will also not use article the. The Sunday is incorrect. We will say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, like that. Then we have along with the name of subjects, we will not use article the. Mathematics, physics. Alright, directly we will say. Then we have names of roads. MG Road, Mall Road. Alright, we will not say the MG Road or the Mall Road. Then we have along with names of meals. Lunch. We will not say the lunch, we will say lunch. Then we have dinner, etc. Alright. Then we have, along with the names of languages, we will not use article the. This one I already taught you in the last video. So we will say English, Hindi, like that. Along with hobbies, we will also not use article the. Gardening, singing, dancing. All right, directly we will say. Then we have, along with the name of sports, hockey, cricket, directly. All right, then we have names of lakes. Wooler Lake. We will not say the Wooler Lake. It's incorrect. All right, directly we will say Wooler Lake. Then we have, before noun complement, appoint, make, elect, and select. We will not use article the. For example, they elected him the president. So here the will not be used. All right. So this is all for today. Meet in the next video. Thank you.